is a seasoned professional with over 14 years experience in multinational corporations across New Zealand and Sri Lanka. So she's currently a licensed immigration office advisor in New Zealand, and she's also deeply passionate about writing and community service. Beyond her professional career, Yasasi is a dedicated activist and volunteer and loves working with this passionate woman over here. She's good. She's very good. She's played a vital role in educating Sri Lankan children across New Zealand about their cultural heritage and that whole sense of belonging. She's supported refugees in their resettlement journey as a Red Cross refugee settlement volunteer, and now serves as a Red Cross area counselor for Area 4. She's the treasurer of the Multicultural Council in Masterton. She advocates actively for diversity, inclusion, and cross-cultural harmony. Our next speaker is Aroha Beck, and she is of Tapuika descent. She came to Wellington in her 1990s for work and moved to the Wairarapa 15 years ago. Her youngest children, Cecilia and Eslin, were born here, and she's worked as a lawyer for about 25 years. She specialized in public law and regulatory systems and has been practicing in the natural resources sector. She also has an interest in the role of media in Aotearoa and has served on the Media Council and Broadcasting Standard Authority. She's currently teaching in the planning program at Massey University. And our third speaker in our panel is Tooba Shahid, and she is the recent mother of that gorgeous baby that you'll see, the youngest one in the crowd, who's just absolutely perfect. And she is the president of the women's organization of the Ahmadiyya community in Masterton. So she's a former refugee from Pakistan, and she spent 5 years in Sri Lanka. She's working in the Red Cross space, and her face will be familiar to people in the area. She's very welcoming, and she makes everyone feel at home, and she'll be sharing a little bit about the journey and the story of her and the community. So without further ado, I will hand it to you, Lisa.
I came to New Zealand as a student 8 years ago, and I was in Auckland for 8 years. Then I moved to Masterton 2 years ago, and I wasn't sure whether I'm going to stay in Masterton for long or not, but here I am. I'm here for 2 years now. Probably I'll stay here for longer. So coming from a big city to Masterton was a bit challenging for me. I have never lived in a small town before, but when I got here, I found it a bit challenging for myself because person coming from Sri Lanka, and I couldn't find a lot of migrants in Masterton. I was struggling. I was struggling to make connection in Masterton. Probably I didn't have much connection. So I was thinking, this could be a problem for other people who come to Masterton. We have to welcome people who actually like to come and live in a place like this. Because for me, Masterton is totally different to all these big cities where I have lived. I love people here. They are very welcoming. You can easily approach anyone. They have time for each other. They look after their community. I didn't see this in Auckland. I never felt this way in Auckland. So this is actually a place. I think whoever wants to live in New Zealand, this is a place they have to come. But there is a problem. When I first came here, when I told people that I'm from Sri Lanka, they were like, Sri Lanka, where is it? Never heard about it. How many people here know about Sri Lanka? Where is it? I know, part of cricket, I know, it's a loss. Other than cricket, anyone, where is it located? South of India, yes. It is, yes, used to be Ceylon, right? But, unfortunately, a lot of people are, oh, is it part of India? No, we are not. We are a different country. So I was thinking, yes, so there is a space. I need to tell people where I came from, what I bring here, right? So same like people who come here, come to Masterton or New Zealand, they come here for better lifestyle, better prospects, but still I feel they have a struggle within because they leave their families and loved one behind, coming with their kids. Especially I'm talking about female, right? Back home they always have their family support. They know what they're doing, they know where they go, but when they come to a new place, it's so challenging. Trust me, I was facing that. You don't know where to go for information, you don't know whom to approach, and you can't leave your kids home because you don't have anyone to look after them unless you go to care center. So it's a lot of challenging environment for women, especially for women once they come to New Zealand. And of course, mind you, most of the migrants who come to New Zealand or go to any other country, English is their second language, right? So my biggest challenge is understanding English. And probably people who talk to me had the same challenge because they couldn't understand my accent too. So it's a two-way thing. I struggle to understand what they talk. Sometimes I don't even answer phone. I was so scared to answer the call because I was scared that I won't be able to understand what they talk. And I was so embarrassed to go back and ask, can you please repeat yourself? I didn't understand. So I was shy. But now, after staying here for long, I understood, okay, if you don't understand, you have accent, they have accent, you both don't understand each other. Go back, tell them, okay, can you please repeat yourself? So if I struggle that way, I'm pretty sure all the migrants outside are struggling with the same issues, right? Especially when they find their jobs, they go to job interviews, and when they reach out to people, they're scared that, okay, what if they don't understand me? I don't know, 5 years ago I would come here and talk because I would be so scared that you won't be able to understand the word I say. Right? So that is that's the challenges we as migrants face today in environment. So as we form Multicultural Council last year in Wairarapa, that's what we are our challenge. We encourage people, step in, go and see, go and talk to locals, make yourself part of the community. Give whatever you can give to the community. It's not that you're in another country, you have to keep your talents and your knowledge to yourself. Go, give it out there. Probably you have a lot to give out. So that is where I come, and that's where I want to help migrants.
Right.
Thank you so much.
She's the best.
Thank you. Thank you, Yasasi. And Aroha, I'd invite you to speak now.
Kia ora koutou. We heard in the sort of introduction that I am from Tapuika, so that's up in the Bay of Plenty if anyone sort of is interested. And I just wanted to be really clear in sort of thinking about this topic and where we are. I'm really conscious I'm not Tangata Whenua. I don't whakapapa to this region, and I don't share or have authority to speak to its history and the way that has impacted, in particular, the experience of Māori women who are from or live or return to this area. But rather I was sort of minded of my own journey and thinking about the ways in which whenever I sort of go to events and we're sort of talking about the experience of Māori or as a Māori woman, there's a lot of focus on the traditional roles, the ties to the land. I love my rohi in the Bay of Plenty and my family there, and I miss them dearly. But you know, my family, marriage, work took me away from there, and it is unlikely I'll ever return there. And there's a sort of a grief involved in that, but there's also a sort of consciousness that actually a large part of being Māori is this history that we came here on the waka. I was on Te Arua waka, and so while we're a people that can sort of like, you know, track my whakapapa back to the time of the gods of Hawaii, we also are people that undertake large journeys, huge changes, start again, and the kind of the ties to the people and the communities and the place are not the same as when you whakapapa there. And yet, if you go out into a new place, you're sort of confronted still. You're still you. I'm still Aroha. I'm still from the family puata. I'm still Tapuika. But I'm now in another place in time. And that has very much informed my life and experience. We sort of listened to Christy talking about the sort of the history or the journey for the Women's Centre, and this idea that in the 1960s women began to get their voice. I sometimes feel that actually the rise of the women's movement has a bit of a relationship with the sort of the loss or the subsuming of the voice for Māori women who have always had a role in terms of our own culture about being the first voice actually, and having specific roles and mana within our communities. And that actually the women's movement and some of the ideas of the evolution evolution of that movement and the ways it's come out in terms of the māngai, the kind of advocacy role, is not always on the same kaupapa. And that's a challenge for us. So I suppose the sort of things that I think about being a Māori woman and having undertaken a number of major journeys, including having gone to university and law school, all the rest of it, and journeyed into the city, the opposite of you, going from small towns into the city, although not a huge city. That in some ways educates you away from your family. As I say, the work is not in my homeland, my home rohi if you like. The place is not there for me. My children were born and raised outside of the rohi. I have a grief that they will never live there, though they have been there and have a connection with it. It puts you into a different kind of a journey. And I sort of start to think about the ways in which in this community, we're over for 15 years, the next major journey I undertook was 2.5 years ago when my husband died, and actually women became, or the communities I'm in with women, the friendships and the kind of different kaupapa I'm involved with, they became very important, and that too has always been a role for women, and around when we have significant journeys and milestones in our life, oftentimes it is those ties of our aunties, our mother, our sisters, that have a different kind of importance or manaaki that we need. And so thinking about the kaupapa for this particular panel, I'm involved in the art community here, is one of the things I'd say. I hasten to say not very good. But I think that actually the way that we tell our stories is just as important as the way that we see ourselves represented and invisible in the stories around us. And so one of the things that I would say, or the challenge, would be that how visible are we in this community? In the arts forum actually, I'm not sure that there is a very strong presence of wahine or mana wahine in the arts. So that was where I was coming from. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Assalamualaikum warahmatullah and Kira everyone. As you know, my name is Tooba Shahid, and I myself is a former refugee. It's been almost 3 years I'm living in Masterton in New Zealand, and I came through the quota refugee program in New Zealand. I'm originally from Pakistan, but I've spent 5 years of my life in Sri Lanka. So yeah, as an asylum seeker and then refugee, it was a big whole journey of my life, very precious time when I learned many new things in my life, like especially patience, which was very important at that time for us. And it's always very hard when you left your loved ones and your land, and you don't have any other option in your life. And it is just the option that for the sake of your safety, and especially for your kids and their bright future, you have to take that decision. And you don't know what will happen next and where you are going. Will you find support or things you want? But you just have, you just make plans and you just go and see what will happen next in your life. So nothing, you could say, nothing of our own choice, but yeah, it's life, it is life. So, and now here I'm living with my beautiful family, my husband and my 2 kids. So my older one is 8 years old and my youngest one is 3 months old. So I'm also working in Red Cross and also helping former refugees coming into Masterton. So, and I love my job, I love my work because it's like I'm working for my people and I'm working with my people. So the other thing which is, it is an absolute honor to stand before you today is the president of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Women's Association Masterton, also known as Lajna Imaillah, New Zealand. And our organization is deeply rooted in the principles of faith, service and empowerment. established under the guidance of the promised Messiah, Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad alayhi salam. Lajna Imaillah provides a platform for Muslim women to grow spiritually, intellectually, and socially while remaining devoted to our faith. As Ahmadi Muslim women, we actively contribute to our communities through charity work, interfaith dialogue, and educational initiatives. We organize fundraisers, volunteers in humanitarian projects, and advocate for social justice, all while upholding our Islamic values. Our mission is not just to serve our own community, but to be a source of goodness for all the humanity. One of our key responsibilities is to uphold the dignity of women in Islam. Our faith teaches us that a woman's strength lies in her character, her knowledge, and her contribution to society. The hijab or parda is often misunderstood, but for us it is a symbol of dignity, empowerment, and devotion to our Creator. Living in a secular society presents unique challenges and opportunities for us as Muslim women. We engage in workplaces, universities, and public spaces while adhering to our religious and moral values. This balance is not always easy, but it is possible through faith, perseverance, and mutual respect. The hijab is often at the center of discussions about identity and integration. Some may see it as a barrier, but we see it as a bridge and expression of our faith that coexists with our active participation in society. Whether we are professionals, students, or homemakers, we show that a woman can be strong, confident, and successful while upholding her religious beliefs. For many women in our community, particularly those from refugee backgrounds, settling into a new country brings both hope and hardship. They leave behind their homes, traditions, and loved ones, to start over in an unfamiliar land. The challenges of language, cultural differences, and economic struggles can be overwhelming. So, yeah, their stories are also ones of resilience and triumph. And many have rebuilt their lives, pursued education, started businesses, and contributed to their new communities, all while holding firmly to their faith. Their journey inspires us to support one another and to foster an inclusive society where diversity is embraced and respected. So let us continue uplift one another to challenge misconceptions and to build a society where women, regardless of background, faith, or culture, can thrive with dignity and purpose. May Allah enable us to stay steadfast in our faith while being valuable members of society. Jazakumullah khair.
Okay, thank you so much. A big round of applause for our first panel. The second panel is all about community perspectives and partnerships. So we welcome Beth. She's a professor of international relations and is currently head of school, PEP, and acting director of the Center of Defense and Security Studies at Massey University. That sounds pretty awesome. Her research looks at international security, but she's also passionate about gender equality and the significant benefits it brings to us as societies. And Tracy, her partner in crime up here in panel 2, is a dedicated nursing leader managing the Wairarapa Health Sciences at UCall. So she's got 5 years of leadership experience and is committed to shaping the future of healthcare professionals. Before transitioning into education, she worked as an ICU nurse for 13 years, and thank you for your service. That is crazy. And being invaluable to help her well round out her roles. So since joining UCall as a nursing lecturer in 2008, she's played a key role in nursing education and workforce development. She also serves as a co-chair of nurse education in the tertiary sector and advocates for excellence. She's on the Tuhawaranga Trust, and she actively contributes to the strengthening of well-being and resilience for residents in the area. She's passionate about healthcare education and community well-being, and welcome you both. Thank you so much. Thank you.
inviting me.
Christine, I just wanted to say what I find really interesting is they sound really important, those titles. But that's in part because they're connected to, I think, some of our assumed ideas about what's important, right? So as soon as I say I work in the field of international security, I get taken seriously. When I say I'm interested in gender equality, I see a whole lot of ears kind of go, oh yeah. It's kind of not up there. So I work in the high politics area, but I'm constantly astounded by how important gender equality is to that high politics too. So I just thought I'd share with you, sorry, I'm going to go slightly off track, but just because I want to spread this word, right? And I also want to say, I wanted to ask lots of questions, but I also didn't want to take up space and time in the last panel. So, but if nothing else, I think we're totally all the time encouraged to not take up space and time as women. So any younger people in the room, please take up space and please take up time. Don't be as polite as I was growing up. So the one thing I want to say about international security is that one thing we're starting to discover is that gender equal societies not only are more prosperous, not only obviously are intrinsically, better for us, but actually are more peaceful. And we haven't recognised that in international relations because it doesn't fit with our concepts of its democracies that are more peaceful. That idea held for a long time through the 1980s and beyond. But we're increasingly seeing that more gender equal societies are more peaceful internally and externally as well. So I just want to put that out there. If you want any information on that, I will happily give it to you all the time. In terms of community perspectives and partnerships, one thing that struck me was Christy reaching out to me, really happy to come along. If you have schools or groups of young women particularly, I am at your beck and call to encourage them to move into spaces that traditionally haven't been so welcoming. And I am media shy normally, but I'm getting increasingly frustrated with the narrative that we have in our media about our international political situation. So I am talking to the media more now because I feel like we don't have that diversity of voice. Having said that, I'm also aware I'm incredibly privileged, right? I'm English. I'm literally English, not Ngarangiaho, even though I live here. I am white. I am English speaking as a first language. I am tall. I know the acronyms in the military. I used to be very fit, so that's a big thing for military people to take you seriously. So I'm going to try and use my privilege in spaces, and I think that's what we can do as the very first step is, are there spaces where we have influence, and can we use that space to bring other people up, other women up particularly? So space is going to come up quite a lot, right? In terms of what you can do as well as thinking about what's your role and how, so for me, thinking of partnerships, I'm really open to people just emailing me and saying I'm a community organisation, and try that with, and if your academics don't get back to you, try another one. So if it's important to you, like if there's work being done on domestic violence or there's work being done on the experience of immigration, that's the role of university in New Zealand under the Universities Act, is critic and conscience of society. We are bound to have to try and contribute to that debate. So please, feel free to reach out. Even if they have the title of professor, they're not usually too terrifying to deal with. And the very first big professor I met in the feminist field, she's the number one. And I was terrified of meeting her. And she was this lovely, lovely lady that brought me a gift and sent me a postcard afterwards as a student. And I was thinking, that changed my world, because I'm used to, really important people brushing me off because I'm not the important person in the room. So yeah, I guess that's what I would say. Very briefly, in terms of my role, I'm a head of school, so I've been thinking about the spaces I can make a difference. So a sneaky, I'm hoping I can still do this, but in our accounting systems, you used to be able to use some money as a student to buy a piece of equipment. Great. But often the woman was saying, I need childcare. It's not the laptop, it's the time away or having somebody support me. So I snuck that into the budget line. The other thing is in our PDPs, our performance development plans that we do once a year, asking people to reflect on what they have done as themselves, as individuals, towards supporting Te Tiriti. Because before that was how many books have you published, and things like that. So the spaces where you can manoeuvre. And really briefly, some of the things, I'm just going to advocate for Massey, but I think I like the institution because I think at its core is serving the community, and that's why I wanted to work there, because we used to be the only distance institution, and it was the only way that I saw people like me, I was a mum with young kids, getting an education, because I couldn't spend the time to go elsewhere. We also have a really active in prison for people who are incarcerated program. In our Bachelor of Arts, students, even if they don't want to, have to do compulsory papers on being a citizen and critical thinking skills. So we're trying to make sure that we're putting people out into the world who can be contributing to society and reflecting on what that means. And partnerships, I work directly with the military, despite some of my, particularly about gender. But also one thing you might be interested in is there's a big international agenda called Women, Peace and Security, which was civil society driven, has kind of been captured by states. But Red Cross is one of the civil groups that the government has been engaging with at quite some depth on what should this look like. Should it just be more women, more senior women in the military and the police? Should it be about development? What's the role of the treaty? Those sorts of things as well. So there are certain, again, spaces for academics, civil society and government to come together. So I guess that's my main thing. Sorry.
Thank you.
Kia ora koutou, e whānau mai au o ki Kirikiri Rawa. Ka noho o ki raro e te monga o Taurua. Ko waiwanawai te awa e Ririana. Ko Lady Nugent tōku waka, ko Ingarani o ko Tipuna, ko whakaoriori tōku kāinga. He tō whakaari matarangi a hau, ko Tracy Cook a hau. I'm Tracy Cook, as you know, the Academic Portfolio Manager for Health Sciences, and it's funny how we have all these titles. Yeah. And that's mine. Anyway, so this means that I look after the health science programs, as I've said, as was in the introduction, which includes the Bachelor of Nursing program, enrolled nursing, pre-nursing programs, health and wellbeing, and also we provide opportunities for school kids to come in a youth schools academy program as well. Thank you, Christy, for inviting me along today. It's great. I was asked to offer my thoughts on what would make the biggest difference to women in the Wairarapa to promote gender equality, belonging and leadership, and how can we make this happen. I don't believe it's one thing, but I can only speak from experience. One way I do this is to role model. I'm a woman in leadership at Yuko Wairarapa. My manager is a woman and her manager is a woman. So I'm surrounded by impressive role models who have shaped and guided me as a leader. Most of them have been women. From this role modelling, I've become an empathetic leader who likes a relationship approach to management. People matter, and what is going on in their worlds has an impact on their mahi. If I can support someone who is going through a tough time, I can empower them to grow. Also, due to managing the health science programs, I have many, because of the types of programs that we deliver, most of our aikonga are women. Some of these amazing women are second chance learners or first in family to get a tertiary qualification. Myself and my team support these learners each step along their way to their qualification. Then we can empower our community and they can empower themselves. Then they can be role models and provide for their families as well. So that strengthens our community. Another way that we can achieve gender equality is to network and connect. Say yes to opportunities, like I did today. otherwise, because I don't really like public speaking either. Anyway, I'm a member of a trust called Tooba. Our goal is to support health-related workforce to be strong, agile and adaptable, and I think that helps and increases the health of our community and in turn helps women. Another thing I said yes to is to being the co-chair of the nurse educators in the tertiary sector. This is a group of all the nursing heads across the Motu. They come together and share good practice and disseminate information. And we're mainly women, and we just met for the last 2 days, so that was really incredibly empowering. I could have said no to both of these things, but I believe if you're surrounded by a great team and have great connections, you can achieve anything. So thank you.
So we've got Stella Lennox, who's a dedicated and dynamic elected member of the Masterton District Council. She also works as a brand and marketing advisor for Transit Group. Everyone's heard of them. Masterton's family-owned nationwide transport and tourism company. She was born and raised in Masterton, left the region after college to explore opportunities overseas, and of course has come back home because this is where all the cool people live. After many years abroad, she returned home to set up her life again with her Irish husband Dave, and is now a teacher at the Makota College. She enjoys a vibrant family life with their 2 children, 2 dogs, and a guinea pig. She's in Central Masterton, where she passionately aims to contribute to the town's growth and development through community groups, event manager for Summer Hummer Music Festival, and co-creator of Kim's Way Night Refuge. She's also, that's in addition to her day job at the council, of course. She's extremely enthusiastic on making Masterton even more thriving and prosperous. We've also got Nicola Belsham. She's the General Manager of Business Wairarapa, the Wairarapa Chamber of Commerce. She has an extensive experience that covers multiple aspects of business development and stakeholder engagement, from sole trading in the creative and publishing industries, to owning independent retail businesses, to providing business consultancy to export wine and tourism companies. She's results-driven, as one would expect in your role, and an excellent communicator. She's all about the business of business and has a genuine desire to see all enterprises succeed. And the lovely Sean Fairbrother. She's driven by a deep purpose that I love, to empower people to live wholeheartedly. This is why we're partners. And as co-founder of Adeptus Leaders, she brings nearly 20 years of expertise in people development and learning to help transform leaders and elevate businesses. She's known for her high energy and yet down-to-earth approach. She blends insight, humor, and real-world experience in everything she does. Outside of work, she's an avid traveler, passionate foodie, well-being junkie, and a dedicated wife and mum of 2.
So I just want to talk to you about leadership within a governing kind of role. Obviously, I'm on council, so I'll just speak to you all. Leadership in local government isn't just about making the big decisions. It's about representation. It's about ensuring that councils reflect the voices, experiences and aspirations of all of us. And when more women step into leadership roles, we don't just bring diversity, we bring different perspectives, collaborative approaches, and a focus on community well-being. And there's not enough women around council tables in this day, sadly. Tauranga has 1 woman council member, and I think they have about 12. So we've got to get out there more and be the voice. And I guess it's a shame that most of our powerful countries internationally aren't led by women, but hey, small steps. But as women, we are naturally empathetic, but have a common sense approach and a hands-on approach too. And internationally, women in leadership roles thrive. But there's still barriers, and how do we encourage more women to step up? How do we ensure that once we're at the table, we create space for others to join us? So there's barriers, I guess, many reasons why women hesitate to take on leadership roles that I speak to. Is I guess they doubt themselves, or they think, I'm not clever enough, I haven't studied politics, I didn't go to university. I didn't go to university, I don't know how it all works, it's scary, there's too many men in the room. You know, there's so many things that are instant barriers that put people off. Another barrier is perception, and that the idea of leadership is that it should look and feel and sound a certain way. Women often feel they need to prove themselves more, speak louder, or adopt a different style of leadership. But the reality is, effective leadership isn't about fitting any mould. It's about authenticity, integrity, which my heart and soul is very strong on, and willingness to listen and lead with purpose. And women don't have egos. Well, not all of us have egos, but I tell you what, there's a lot of that going on around the council table. So there's definitely room for us, and yeah, we belong there. Balancing responsibilities. So many women, we juggle work, family, community commitments, time for our friends, time for our family. You know, it gets quite overwhelming at times, and I'm often asked, how on earth do you fit it in? And you must be so busy. And I am, but I'm one of those people that enjoys being busy. You know, the minute I finish a project or something's finished, I go, what next? Everyone rolls their eyes. But I guess, yeah, we've got lots of commitments. But I don't do it alone. I have a really amazing support network behind me. I don't have a cleaner and I don't have a nanny, so I'm going to make that clear. And I still do the groceries, but I have a supportive family. And when I did choose to stand for council, obviously I had to have a little chat to the 2 kids and my husband, and they said, yeah, we'll support you, whatever. They don't. Well, they don't. They don't in the sense that I still do the dishes and put the rubbish up, but they are there for me when I need to say, you need to step up, you know, which is great. And my mum's amazing. But what I love about being on council is that a lot of the time I'll drag them to things that they can attend anyway, right? You know, you're out in the community a lot, so I'll be like, right, you're coming to this with me and you're joining this event today. So it works, it's great, but you need to have strong support, and you need to have personal systems in place to enable you to fulfill your duty, I suppose. But not about, it's not about that, it's also about when you're in your governance role or the committee or the community that you're part of, you need to say, hey, listen, and I know you mentioned it, you know, I really want to be here, but I can't, I've got to collect my kids at 3, you know, we've got to be flexible, or I need this day to do this because actually it's another commitment that I've, you know, said yes to. So I guess it's openness to be adapt to change. I'll skip a little bit because I've got 1 minute, and this is the bit I really wanted to get across to you guys, is encouraging more women to get involved. So first of all, mentorship matters. So if you see leadership skills or someone who has the potential, tell them, Sean, you are so good at asking me questions about council and you show so much passion. Why don't you have a go and step up? You know, so it's highlighting and identifying those people who have that same drive and passion but might just need that little nudge. Visibility is really powerful, so the more women that are in leadership roles, the more of us go, sure, I can do that. In fact, I'm going to do it and give it a go, so that's really important. And then obviously training and support. So there's amazing online tools now, and so many of them are free. I'm constantly seeing courses, oh, I might do that one and that one. But from a local government perspective, the Local Government New Zealand website is an absolute toolbook if you want to get into local government and think about standing for council. It's the most amazing toolbox. There's just information galore, lots of online videos and stuff, just to give you a bit of a, I don't know, one-on-one kind of session for people that are interested. And my final thoughts are this. Representation matters. When women lead, communities thrive. The more diverse our leadership, the stronger our decision making. So if you've ever thought about stepping up, this is your time. I'm going to be running a Join Me campaign leading up to council, inviting people to join and stand with me, because I will be standing again this year, so I really want to encourage people to think about that. Especially with our beautiful Masterton diverse community, I think there's lots of opportunity there. So your voice is valuable, your perspective is needed, and our community will be strong for it. So please come and chat to me afterwards if you want to learn anything about that. Thank you.
Excellent.
Kia ora koutou, thank you for inviting me here. I didn't really write any formal notes because I really like to listen to the room and other people's experiences. You know, it's breadth of experience that gives breadth of skills. And listening to some of the experiences here of those that have sought asylum, refugees, etc., that brings its own set of skills with it. I was reflecting on some of the things that people were saying, and I'm sure I'm not the only person in this room that grew up with domestic violence. So I grew up with alcoholism, domestic violence, an abusive father who told me I wasn't good enough, who told me I was useless. And then when I did do something really well, he said, well, you managed to land on your feet, didn't you? So again, it was seen as negative. But that gave me so much drive when I was growing up. And I had a fantastic mother who was basically a solo parent who told me, don't rely on a man, rely on yourself, make your own money, create your own skills. And, that was really valuable. When I graduated from design school in 1991, I was good at drawing pictures for money. I was an illustrator, but I knew nothing about marketing. I knew nothing about accounting. I certainly didn't speak to people. So all of those things were things that I learned. My whole career has been one of self-employment, but it's also been really important to learn to pivot. And what I want to talk about today is the necessity to have transferable skills. We don't live in a world where we have one job and we do that for our entire lives. That doesn't exist anymore. Too much comes in the way. Health issues, family issues, redundancies, global issues. And without a second thought, you're out. And you think, holy hell, I don't know what else I can do. What can I do? And again, I go back to that breadth of experience brings a breadth of skills. We need to be flexible and agile. And that range of skills allows us to pivot, to quickly change, move swiftly amongst different circles and different personalities. And that's how we learn to communicate effectively. If we can communicate well, then we can pretty much get on with everybody. And we can put ourselves forward, we can say, we can step up, we can say, I can help you with that. I have some experience with that, let me lend myself to you. That breadth of experience also is what gives us empathy. And I think empathy, a few people have said it, empathy is key to leadership. I look at the world today and I see a total lack of empathy. If we had women in those countries today, like Ukraine, like Russia, like USA, in those leadership roles, I don't think we would be in the position that we are today. Women don't create wars. So again, I think it goes back to breadth of skills. Learn as much as possible. How can you transfer those skills? And they're not necessarily being a scientist or it's about how do I communicate, how do I write, how do I have artistic expression, how do I support people, how do I contribute to my community, how do I collaborate with people. And to me that's what creates the wave that we can all ride. So that's me, thank you very much.
I want to use a concept that I heard first on social media from a woman called Dr. Becky. She's a parenting expert, and she shared this concept around two things are true. So it's the idea that in today's increasingly binary and divisive world, you can have two seemingly conflicting truths coexist. So for us today, to wrap up, I want us to hold two truths, and that is, first of all, yes, it is true, the system is broken. Like, we heard this morning to kick us off that we're on the trajectory to still have 100+ years ahead of us towards gender equality. We don't have enough women represented in business, in boards, in executive teams, in community leadership positions. And we have gender pay issues. We're in this societal construct where we have to kind of work as if we don't have kids, but parent as if we don't have jobs. Yeah. It doesn't work. And representation, as we've heard today, does really matter. As we've talked about, when we have women in positions of leadership, whether it's business or in other aspects of our society, we know that for businesses perform better, their workplaces are more inclusive, and we know that it just works, yet it's not set up like that currently. It's not set up for us to thrive. So, in the face of that, it would be really easy to fall into the kind of frustration of it's not fair, or be frustrated by the fact that so much of what is talked about in terms of the solution to the systemic issue is actually about fixing women, you know, like if we just be more confident, if we lean in, if we just sort out the way that we speak or behave or dress, then, you know, that's the pathway forwards. So, in the face of that, the other thing that we have to hold true is while we focus on fixing the system, we also have to grab the bull by the horns ourselves and equip ourselves to rise. You know, we have to focus on our growth and our development to be able to set ourselves up to thrive. We can't rely on the systemic change creating that for us. So, in thinking about investing in our own growth, or thinking about our own growth, I suppose the first thing is investing in it. Being able to take the time to think about mentorship, think about seeking out coaching, think about formal education, thinking about just going out and finding those experiences that will help us learn and grow. Recognising that when it comes to investing in success as a leader, it's not just about what that success looks like externally, but it's also about, as Stella's shared, rooting ourselves in the fact that success in leadership is a very internal transformation. It's about setting ourselves up to navigate complexity, to lead with empathy, and to really be able to inspire others with confidence from a place of authenticity and fulfillment. I think the second thing that matters in terms of our own growth is that we have to make time for it. As you've shared, we are juggling lots of roles all of the time, and in the face of that, taking the time for ourselves and our growth is necessary, it is not selfish. So it doesn't have to be a big carve out of time, even just a simple thing of making space to be able to reflect on what have I learnt today, this week, this month, really matters. And the third thing I would say is we have to acknowledge the strengths that we already are bringing to the table. You know, we are natural problem solvers. I love this clip that's going around at the moment where Reese Witherspoon shares that she could spot a script that's been written by a male-only team a mile off, because there comes a point in the story where it's challenging, or really the proverbial has hit the fan, and the woman turns around and says, "Oh, what shall we do now?" Like, that doesn't happen in real life. We are just getting on with it, sorting it out. We are there managing teams, we are leading with empathy, we are navigating those crises with resilience. So when we acknowledge the strengths that we're already bringing, that sets us up to be able to step forward in our growth and leadership with confidence. And the last thing that we've heard lots about today is when one woman grows, it leads to another woman's growth. So it's that kind of concept is actually what is at the heart of community transformation, whether it's it's one person at a time, it's one business at a time, one leader at a time. So as we climb, we need to make sure that we're lifting others at the same time. And so I suppose to bring all that together, think about how you could invest in your growth. It doesn't have to be financial investment. Think about how you're making the time for yourself in your leadership and growth. Think about how you can bring someone else on that journey with you, whether you're contributing as a mentor, whether you're advocating for them, whether it's just encouragement. Because the two things are true, the system is broken, and we have to be out there advocating and making our own growth happen. That's what it will take, I think, to be able to transform the leadership space and communities.
Awesome.
Thank you, Winifred, for joining us today. Winifred Mahoa, Community Advisor, Community Operations, BIA. Winifred is originally from Zimbabwe, did her tertiary education in Russia, and has lived in New Zealand for almost 22 years. She has been in the community development space since 1996 and has worked in various roles, including with the World Vision Zimbabwe, Office of Ethnic Affairs, and the New Zealand Aid Program. She's currently community advisor with the Department of Internal Affairs. Winifred speaks 5 languages and strongly believes in empowering women, as if the saying, if you educate a woman, you educate the whole nation.
Yeah, this is the best ever International Women's event that I have attended. And I'm really serious. This is my colleague, Tanya. She's the main contact for the Hutt Valley. I'm the main contact for the mighty Wairarapa region, I always call it. And I always say all good things come out of the Wairarapa we've seen today. Anyway, I'm gonna bless the Kai. And as you heard, I speak 5 languages. I'm really passionate about Te Reo Maori. And I don't know, most probably at the end of the year, I'll say I speak 5.5 languages. Whakapainga e neka, hei oranga, mo te tinana, mo o mato, wairua, hoki, amine.